it's recording. Let's see what happens here. How's the audio? Alright. This is another attempt at a demonstration of a little multi-box. And let me pull up. Yeah, there we go, that's fine. Kind of a multi-box scenario here. If you know what multi-boxing is, it's traditionally when you have actually, traditionally, it's not quite the multiple boxes that it sounds like, as in boxes in computers. Thank you, PCs, for reminding me. I have an Alexa device in here that its keyword is the C word, and that messes things up. I have to remember to say PC, not the C word. And that one's not following. There we go. That'll work. Let's see. I'm still trying to get this. It's just not doing the... I'm trying to use an OBS bot too, and it's a little weird. It knows where I am, but it's not zooming in on... There we go. It's got the close-up now. It's supposed to follow. Let's see if it follows. It looks like it's got me. So, multi-boxing is when you have multiple PCs and you're controlling them all simultaneously. There's like probably... I don't know much. I'm not a huge multi-box fan, follower, but I am using it. Yes, recording a video right now. So the multi-boxing is typically you have bare metal machines. You can think of it as bare metal machines or virtual machines. And let's get that zoom in here going. I don't know why it keeps jumping back to the away from the more the face. You don't really need to see my messy office, but I suppose you can. So multi-boxing could be bare metal PCs or virtual PCs, and most people run virtual PCs. They'll kind of run a very beefy computer, and then they'll play some traditional games like World of Warcraft or EverQuest or blah blah blah. Lots of... It's been around for a long time. Multi-boxing has been. I only play Star Citizen. Is pretty much the only game I really play because it's the only thing I have time for. And trying to make a long story short, I have 2 accounts. Actually, I have more than 2 accounts, and started a long time ago because the game is was especially, and still is nowadays, a pretty low quality game, and it would crash a lot. And so I happened to have 2 accounts for other various reasons. Wasn't actually intentional, but I did end up having 2 accounts, and I'm like, well, if I have 2 accounts, I might as well use them, so that when one of the games crashes, another player in the persistent universe can make its way, if it wasn't already in the ship, and save the ship, land the ship, fly the ship, and keep the cargo. And that's all good, and it's been fun for quite a few years playing this as a multi-box scenario, which is what I've got set up here and are showing on the display. Is I have 2 accounts, a Knight account and a K-Knight account, or a Knigget. I don't know if that's so politically correct nowadays, but It's from Monty Python, so I'm going to call it Knigget. So I have Knight and Knigget. And when I'm in the game, there are often times where I usually play them independently. But every now and then in the game, you wake up from the bed, you log both accounts in. I log both accounts in, and I wake up in separate beds, and I basically want to run to an elevator, and then run to the tram, and then run to the spaceport, and then run to the ship, and then get in the ship, and run to the bridge, and all that stuff. If I'm doing them individually, like on Knigget, if I run him all the way and get him, but I can go in stages. I can get him to the elevator outside the Habs, or maybe I'll walk up to the door of the Habs, and I'll go over to Knight and I'll walk him up to the door of the Habs, and then Knigget, I'll open the door and run him out, and then Knight, I'll open the door and run him out, and so I'm very lockstep-y on the way that I get both of them to the elevator, and then I get both of them down the elevator, and then I get both of them to the train or the tram or whatever you want to call it, and then I get them both on the train, and then I get them both to off the train, and then I get them both to the spaceport, and then I get them both to the elevator, and I get them both to the hangar. And nowadays you can spawn the ship from the hangars, but that running them individually in lockstep can be a little time consuming. The game is time consuming. And so I've wanted for years to pull a multi-boxing setup, but I don't really want to run, what's it, IS Boxer, and there's a couple of others that software that basically uses virtualization, and I don't want to run virtualization because I have bare metal machines that are running the game. And so what I've built here on the screen showing the Knight on the top and Knigget on the bottom is that Knigget on the bottom is set in a receiver mode, and Knight on the top is set in a sender mode, and he's currently set to not send any keystrokes or mice, any keyboard or mice commands out. So I'll go ahead, and this is when it gets funky, and I am streaming and doing this kind of live versus recording this and editing this. So we'll see how this goes. It's, you know, hobby software. I'm not exactly an amateur. I'm definitely a professional software developer, but this is the hobby stuff, and my quality bar on this is pretty low. So I'm going to, on Knight, here you can see my mouse wiggling here. I'm going to turn on all of the synths, and let's see if that actually worked. It didn't, so let's get this going. There we go. So I had to toggle it twice, a little bug there. But now you can see that on Knigget, the mouse, if I move to the upper left corner, the mouse is in the upper left corner, and if I come, and this is in absolute mode, and if I come down to the very bottom right corner, the mouse, so it's absolutely following. They're the exact same resolutions. The hardware is almost identical. The screens are identical. And so this is absolute mode. And then, because this is going to be important later, I'm going to show what relative mode does. And relative mode is when it takes the deltas on every sample. It computes the change, the distance of the mouse between sample 1 and sample 2. And so with relative, again, this will be important once you get into the game. You'll see that it's what games basically use to look left, right, up, and down, to look all around, pan around, all around, up and down the screen. Is they use a relative mouse coordinates. They're actually kind of recentering the mouse at all times. Maybe not really, but that's one way of doing it. But they're basically querying for raw mouse coordinates, and you can pick up your mouse and move it. You move your mouse to the left, you pick it up, you set and move it to the right over the air, and then you set it down. You just keep doing that, and the mouse does not care how far off the edge of the screen you are in a game. In absolute mode, it will stop when you get to the end. So when you're in the game, it makes a difference. But I'm going to show you what relative mode does here, and you'll see that the behavior of it is a little erratic. So now I'm in relative mode, and the mouse is very disproportional, where it's already on Knigget. The mouse is already, if you can see it, it's already in the upper left corner, but on Knight, the mouse is kind of, I would say, not exactly near the upper left corner. So I'll go ahead and move all the way to the upper left corner, and then I'm going to move both mice, basically. But you can see that the Knigget's mouse is moving very fast, and that's because of mouse acceleration and the relativeness and the computing and probably like the dilution of precision on pixel or aliasing, lots of reasons. But the Knigget's mouse is already now in the bottom right corner, and Knight's mouse is just barely off the center of the screen, just a little south bottom right of the center of the screen. So that's showing you relative mode and absolute mode. The software, I am going to have it on other stuff. I have my let's go back into absolute mode. I'm going to show that I do have this. This is my kind of KVM agent streaming software that I have. It's in absolute mode, so and I can control this here. There's a lot of schizophrenia that occurs from all this. So this is just make sure the audio is still working here. Yeah, it's still working. So this is my KVM controlling software. I do have a button on the screen. You can just, it's kind of off camera, but I have a button here that can control a actually, technically, it's changed recently, but this keypad, a single button keypad. I can maybe lift it up. I don't. Maybe it's probably more trouble than it's worth to show it. I have this keypad. That's it. It's just a one-button keypad. And technically, what this does in another video is this sends a keystroke to my software here, my little agent software. I'm thinking of calling it more of a switch software. Is what I'm going to probably rename this to. And it's listening for this key press. And I've controlled, I can program the key press, and then I have in my agent here, so you can see that I can click and move both of these simultaneously. So I'm mirroring, cloning the Windows input, thus the WinputClone. Windows input clone is what I'm doing here. I have in this software already the ability to record a keystroke and save it and then listen for it and then act on it whenever that keystroke is pressed. And so I am going to add this key sequence, keystroke, hotkey, whatever you want to call it. I am going to add that into the WinputClone.net app so that I can toggle two things. One, I can toggle just sending on and off. So there'll be a button. I have a keypad here and here. This is more of a, this is a little more relevant. If I can pull it out enough. I don't know if I can pull that, get that off screen or something. I have, yeah, I can tug at it. There we go. So here I have, come on. Let me go to the wide here. I don't know if you can even see it on there. Let's get up there and maybe reach up here. More towards me. No, the cable doesn't want to go. This is basically the very similar keypad. I think it's made by this. It's not made by the same company. I have a white and a black of this made by the same company. Notice the pattern. There's a pattern here of Knigget is white or silver or light colored, good colored, and Knight is black or red or bad colored. So I have a keypad here that, and I have others laying around. But with this 2 keypad, I could program these key sequences to be recorded and take effect in the WinputClone client to toggle between 2 things. And those toggles would be to send all or not send all. I could even probably have a keyboard modifier that if the shift key or the control key or alt key is down, to maybe send all or whatever. But the other one is the more important one is to toggle between absolute and relative. Absolute is probably what you would use 99% of the time on desktop. You would probably use it 100% of the time in a desktop app. And so it's kind of the default. And only when you're in first person mode do you then want the relative, because that's where it's important. So I'm going to show off. That was all. I've been recording now for what? How long has this been? 15 minutes, yikes. So 15-minute verbose introduction. I might download this and chop it and edit it. So this is the introduction of what WinputClone is that I'm using. I kind of plan to consider releasing this open source. I'm definitely, I haven't vetoed that option yet. So I think it could be useful to people. Yeah, there we go. Just wondering why the themes are off, but it doesn't really matter. That one's themed. Yeah, I don't know why the themes are off. Dark theme, light theme, blue theme, black theme, whatever. That now I'm going to show it in action, and I'm going to, during it, because I do not have the hotkey to toggle between absolute and relative, which I'll be working and adding to that to the WinputClone net. It's a C# control that I can relatively easily drop in. I just need to, wire it up and get all the events flowing. But this WinputClone app is fairly hot off the presses. I just kind of got it working. I thought about a few days ago I got it working, and then I got on a big tangent, kind of like how I talk, of the, that's really zoomed out. There we go. I got on a little tangent where I thought the inputs, the mouse and keyboard, were not getting injected properly into the game. The game would be using DirectX or direct input or whatever they're using that's built into Lumberjack or whatever. But that seemed like the mouse inputs and the keyboard inputs were not being injected correctly. And so I went off on a huge tangent, again, like I'm talking right now. That is not, why does that, maybe my gesturing? I don't know why that's not doing close up. There we go, it's close up now. Maybe my hands are confusing it. This uses gestures to control it. So, I thought that the inputs, the mouse and keyboard inputs, weren't going in, so I started using a driver. It's been around since 2016 or earlier, maybe even earlier, and called an interception driver. And I'd really, I started using it. It was relatively easy to work. I spent like 2 days on it, and I got it working really well, and it's successfully injecting the mouse and keyboard into the game. And then I fired everything back up and started to use it, and pushed my button press to swap my KVM, and it just locked up the keyboards. And apparently there is a long-known bug in the interception driver that if you unplug any USB keyboard or mouse and plug it back in a few times, it takes about 2, 3 or 4 times, depends on what might have jiggled while you were booting or whatever, that it just stops. It stops reading any keyboard input, and in fact it renders your PC completely. You can't use your mouse or your keyboard for that. The only fix is to power off the PC and restart, and that was a deal breaker. And so I was really kind of depressed for the past day or two, 2 days ago and 1 day ago, until I got it working. I said, screw it, I'm going to do all this without, I'm going to try again to do it without this interception driver, and holy crap, it actually still, I fired up last night, and it worked in the game. So not using interception driver, I'm able to successfully use standard Windows send input API to send input the mouse and keyboard into the game. So, more tangents. But now that I have it working, I'm going to show off how it basically works. And I thought one of the best, simplest ways is to show this is when I have an update available for the game. So I've been sitting here waiting to update the game until I do this broadcast. So now I basically can just come over here on both games. I do need to make sure they're kind of lined up. It's both kind of here on the screen in absolute mode and in the game when you've got your characters and you're running around in the world in the PU. You kind of have to make sure that your characters are relatively in sync, and I kind of have a way to mitigate that a little bit in the game for multi-boxing. So here I'm going to just run an update and we'll update the game. And I can click to acknowledge and everything's going to be fine. This might, I'm streaming, so I don't know if this is going to mess up the stream or, and this is, I've got a relatively small, it shouldn't be a large PTU update because I just updated last night and they're close to releasing 3.24.2. It's about 4 gigs. This shouldn't take too long. And then just FYI, on the stream, I'm doing something a little different where I'm streaming the whole desktop in this stream. Usually I only stream just the game, but since this is more of a behind the scenes, I've been thinking of creating a behind the scenes channel. Not that I have many subscribers, but at all. But I do, just for my own rationale, I can see segmenting my videos into behind the scenes videos or the making of type of stuff, and then I do actually plan and hope to play the game sometime. It's still updating. It'll be a moment. I probably should have started this while I was talking and then done the introduction. I could, while that is going, pull up Knigget. I could set up the OBS. I don't mind doing it this way. I can clone this and swap these. Let me duplicate this desktop to, this would be K and N, night and night, Knigget and night. This one we're going to rename to desktop night and Knigget. So this one I'm going to change the layout to basically be this one. I wonder if I can just do, if I grab this, get this, transform copy, come over here, transform paste, yeah, and then come over here and grab this and I transform copy and come over here and transform paste. Okay, so now I can in the stream toggle between and I can, yeah, I probably need a keypad or I could set up my remote again. I haven't been streaming for a while. Yeah, there's a bunch of black there on the output stream. So I'll minimize this, and so I am still showing night and Knigget small. I could still updating. There's only like another minute or two. There's a bit behind the scenes on the code. It's really this whole app, the client app, is about 720 lines of code in here. And it's yeah, it is just, it's run from here. I did just click a run from this, and I run it on 2 PCs. I have both PCs mapped to the same network drive, and when the code is compiled, one runs in debug mode and one runs in the release mode. And I'm actually not seeing any really big performance degradation in that. Is there anything else to show here while I wait the last few minutes? Last minute, probably? Less than that? Not really. I mean, I do plan to open source this. I'm not too paranoid about anyone, glancing at that code. This one is done. And the reason I can control it separately is because I'm directly on the Knigget's mouse, because I have two mice here. One controls both, and then the other one only controls Knigget. So that one updated, everybody's updated. So I go back over here, I control the absolute. Notice the mouse jump. I can move the Knigget's mouse over here on the left, this little hole on the lower left corner. And as soon as I come over to Night and move its mouse, which is just about near the launch button, bam, the mouse jumps because the commands are told to go there. So now I'm going to go and launch the game. I need to verify the game files here, really? I guess. I don't know why I did that. Absolute. And so during this demo, I'm going to have the Alt-Tab out and go back into relative mode once I get into first person, and you will see that when I get there. Game does take a little bit to launch, and waiting. I almost thought they changed this, the splash screen there for a moment. I hope they're both. I don't need VoIP. No, this is so messed up. No, I don't need that. So I'm still in absolute mode. So I'm cloning on absolute. I'm WinputCloning in absolute mode. And the mouse sinks in here, and so I can go to each of the menus and I can unlock your friends. I basically can. Yeah, this is getting into the area of true multi-boxing, where since they're absolute screen coordinates, everything is the same here. I'm just clicking default. I click accept. This is what multi-boxing is all about: is the ability to basically do two things at once. I can select the system, and I can select the location. I'm going to launch them both in Lorville, and I can join them both, and I will. I'm actually curious, because these are two separate PCs, and I'm curious. I can join a party, etc., but I'm just kind of curious if they join at the same time. And then as it joins, it's going to jump me into first-person shooter mode. And I'm going to have to tab out and switch into relative mode, and I'll show that in a second. Again, this takes a moment to launch. My PCs are pretty beefy. They're mid-high end as of a couple of years ago, meaning they're probably mid now. I mean, it's like supermodel mid. It's still pretty fantastic quality of hardware. It's only running a 3080 type of thing. Like 3080 is still a respectable GPU. The CPU is a 5900 AMD 5900 non-X. It's a low wattage version, but it's still nearly just as powerful. Okay, and so here I am, and I'm gonna Alt-Tab out, and because I am mirroring, if I Alt-Tab, what I need right here, which is why I kind of prefaced all that stuff, I need the hotkey so that I can basically hotkey this thing immediately into relative mode. But because I don't have the hotkey in this stream, I'm going to Alt-Tab out. But because I'm cloning the keyboard when I Alt-Tab Night, it's also going to Alt-Tab Knigget. So I can Alt-Tab, it's going to do that. And then I'll come up here and I'll say relative mode. And I'm relative. And now when I Alt-Tab back into the game, now both mice move pretty dead on. It's almost like I'm mirroring the video, but I'm not. They're syncing there. Looks like Night's having a hard time. It's stuttering. It looks like it's stuttering. It could be that Knigget may be having a hard time with this NDI stream coming in. Knigget seemed to be very overloaded. Let me double check Knigget's CPU. It's running a pretty high CPU. It says the agent is running 40%. Wow. Alright. I don't need the agent for this, and I'm just gonna kill the agent. I'm not sure why the agent is using so much, but I'm gonna quit it and buy myself some CPU time. Maybe that'll make the stream a little bit better. And now let's try again. Let's watch the stream catch up here to where I am. The stream is delayed by, I don't know, about 10 seconds. Still stuttering. So I apologize about the stutter. This video recording is not exactly about the stutter. I don't even know if this is coming through smoothly or not. Oh, I hear it. No, I'm not sure why I'm getting the choppiness yet. I will fine tune that. But basically, again, from Knight's keyboard, I press Y. He should have stood up. He may not have focus. He should stand up. This worked the other day, and I hope. So why is this not working? Wow. This is a lesson that I didn't actually test this for this stream. This worked last night, and since then I have refactored a bunch of code, and I'm wondering if I might have broke it. It does work if I Alt-Tab out and bring up Notepad and start typing. The keyboard does, oops, I probably don't want to do that. Let me inventory out of that. So I can hit WSD. So those are, it is sending the commands, but back to the drawing board here. I might just kind of have to abort this stream in that, oops, a little embarrassing. It's not working, but that's what I get for being a little hot off the presses here. Yeah, it's a little, almost entirely certain this was injecting successfully last night. So anyway, it's definitely not as convincing then when I'm not able to run around. But the mouse is working fine, and then the problem, or what I was trying to get working, was the keyboard input. And yeah, so now I got to kind of go back to the drawing board a little bit and figure out why this isn't working. So I'm gonna do another one of these streams. This one, what I would be showing isn't gonna be very convincing. So what I've been streaming for 30 minutes. It's about kind of how long I rambled more than I expected. But I did kind of give a longer introduction, and I'm going to do a take 2 on this and see how it goes. And I'll also try to fix the choppiness of I think it's just the choppiness of the NDI stream. On my side, it's smooth, pretty. I mean, not smooth as butter, but because it's Star Citizen, but it's pretty smooth. It's not too bad, but anyway. So I'm gonna stop the stream. If you end up ever watching this next week, next month, a year from now, 2 years from now, 1,000 years from now, like and subscribe. I just tinker with this. It kind of keeps me programming and keeps me streaming, and I use some AI to help kind of problem solve some stuff here, generate some code for me every now and then. Mostly on the protocol. The protocol between these two that I came up with, I kind of ran that through an AI to help me generate a very, for this purposes, I believe it's fairly efficient. To send a keystroke, it takes 9 bytes. To send a keystroke from the sending PC to the receiving PC it's a 9-byte payload. A mouse is probably like 10 or 11 bytes. So every time you move the mouse, it's sending 9 to maybe call it 14, 15 bytes. It's not very much data, especially on a 2.5 gigabit. All right, so more back to rambling tangents here because it's a little embarrassing on the keyboard not working. I'll figure that out and I'll do this again. And if you want to see more behind the scenes, if you want to see more code, if this nerding, tinkering stuff, which I'm more interested in this part of it probably more than the game. Although I find the game fun. The coding keeps me into the game, and the game gets me into the coding. It's a symbiotic. Um, uh, what is the relationship? It's just not very. It's a dysfunctional relationship. It's a symbiotic, dysfunctional relationship. All right, I'm going to back out of this. I can. I'm in relative mode. If I swap out and go back to absolute mode, you can see the mouse is pretty far off in the relative mode. As soon as I click on absolute, let me get this one down there. Knigget's mouse is down in the lower right corner. I'm going to click on absolute mode and they'll boom, lock into place. And now you can see that they locked out. But if I hit escape and go back to the game and I hit escape to exit and escape here, the mouse will say quit game and quit the desktop. And so again, the key there is I have a hotkey that helps me jump between relative and absolute mode. And then I'll close this and I can pull up stream and stop streaming with the keystroke here. All right, so thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. Give me some feedback. Let me know. Thanks. Bye.